Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another Women's Disability Show. I am your host for the day, Brianna Wheeler. Thank you so much for joining us. Today is very special because we're gonna dig deeper into Maya's story. Sorry, guys, it's also a smoking show, so forgive us. But feel free to join in, ask any questions. We're gonna stop through and follow up with them. So just feel free to add them in as you go along, or just tell us about your day or who's on joining with us. We really do appreciate that. So Jessica's joining us a little bit late today, but that's okay. We're going to get right into introductions, and then we're going to start with my story. So I'm Brianna. I was injured about 6 years ago from gun violence. I was shot in my T12 through L5, and I'm from Los Angeles. Let's go to Ashley and Nikki.
I'm Nikki. This is Ashley.
Hello.
I'm a T6 paraplegic.
I'm a C4 quadriplegic. We're from Chicago.
We were injured in 2019. And yeah, we look forward to hearing Maya's story. And happy birthday, Brianna.
Period.
Oh, thank you so much. I totally forgot about that. I blank out. As soon as we start, I was just like, what am I doing? It's my birthday, but we're also going to celebrate my story today. So I felt like it was going to be, motivate me to get ready, because sometimes I can be like uninspired on my own birthday. I like to celebrate other people's birthdays more. But I was like, you know what? Let me get ready. Let me have a purpose to come smoke with my friends. So yeah, I'm happy to be here. So let's go to Maya. Thank you, love.
All right.
My little buns
Hey,
over here.
everybody. I'm Maya. I am a C5 quadriplegic, and I was injured in 2018 due to gun violence. And today we're going to get into that story. But, of course, happy birthday, Brianna. We are not only celebrating my story, but we are celebrating Brianna as well.
Celebrating a lot for 20. It's a lot to celebrate today.
I know. A lot of celebrations. So join us. This is the time. If you need a reason to celebrate, today is the day.
Yay!
April is the month.
Okay, so yeah, we're just going to be waiting. Jessica's probably going to hop on, and then she can do her introductions at the end. So we're going to get right into it and just kind of talk wherever you want to start at, Maya, like maybe who you were before your injury. We can start there.
All right. So let's get to it. And just for a disclaimer, my story includes like drug addiction. It includes gun violence, obviously, and kidnapping. So if those areas are sensitive for you, I wouldn't listen.
Yeah. You're always so good at doing that, because I always forget, and I'm always just like, yep, and everybody's just like horrified, and I'm like, oh, sorry, I need to learn how to do a disclaimer like you. You're more professional than me.
I run a coalition for prisoners' rights, and a lot of the stuff that I hear about is kind of crazy. So when I'm doing meetings with like young volunteers, I have to make sure I do that disclaimer, so it comes now. It's naturally.
Yeah, I love it.
So prior to my injury, I was in my addiction. I was addicted to meth for about 4.5, 5 years when I lived in Southern California. And I got into it when I was probably about 14, and ended up dropping out of high school. And I was able to get clean for 17 months, and then I went through a really bad breakup, and I relapsed. And during that relapse, I was using for 2 months, and then I got injured 2 months later. So, and I say that, I feel like that's really important context to my story, because when you're dealing with drug addiction, and we never want to relapse, but it's really important to think about what could happen during that relapse if you decide to pick up again. So I think that's like just a really valuable piece of information, because that relapse changed my life. And luckily in my case, I was able to make something positive about it and turn it into being for the better, but that's not the case for everyone. Some people don't make it back from that at all. So after I relapsed, I was, of course, back in the streets, hanging out with my friends that were doing drugs, just in not really the best circle, which, they're all good people, but the stuff that we're doing when we're on drugs isn't the best stuff to do. And, you know, if you've ever dealt with addiction or been around people with addiction, you know exactly what I'm saying. And, okay, so after that, I was
When you tell this
using,
part of your story, is it hard for you to describe this like old version of yourself because you just seem like so distant from, you know, that part of you, or do you just feel empowered? Like what how do you feel about speaking now about your addiction?
it makes me feel empowered, but it also makes me feel like, it also makes me feel a little standoffish, you know, because I haven't really been into so much of the recovery aspect, you know, when it comes to like addiction recovery. I kind of have separated myself from that. And nowadays, I'm dealing with it like addiction in other ways instead of like drug addiction, you know, like right now it's Netflix, you know, so I know that I know I'm still an addict,
Mhm.
but I like try to separate myself from it a little bit, and that's not really the best thing for healing. So I don't recommend doing
Mhm.
that.
Yeah, I think something that's interesting from, you know, my point of view is that I went through the program with my mom, and something that I really relate to with it is with the community. It's very similar. So maybe that's something that you could even like mention, like, you know, you didn't go that general route because you had the community to lean back on that. And that was like your program. That was your motivation. That was your, you know, we still have our little slogans that we say. Like it just so happened that you were injured and you were getting sober at the same time, you know? So like I feel like that's a great way to approach it, or an interesting way to, you know, like put it to other people, because you're right, you know, everybody needs different things to get sober, you know, and so we're not like knocking the AA program, you know, everybody needs support, but at the same time, this is what worked for like you know, which is like super interesting.
Yeah,
Awesome.
and that's true. It was really like just diving into the disability community and focusing on recovery, you know, just getting stronger and then finding the rolettes and dancing. And that was really what like catapulted me into my form of healing, you know.
Hmm. Yeah. So now, so when you were hanging out and you were like, you know, you're just back in the streets, you know, for anybody who don't know, when you are relapsing, you're not really like thinking like, oh, you know, like this is the time that this is going to happen, you know, like you're just kind of back into your old groove. It becomes almost like normal. It's harder to be sober than it is to be in that lifestyle and be high, you know, just be in the routine of everybody else is doing the same things, you know? So like, so you that's what you were doing, and then, you know, leading up to the day that you got injured, how was that for you?
So, leading up to the day I got injured, I had this mindset where I was out doing drugs. The most that I would do is sell drugs, but I didn't want to commit crime like I used to because I was 18 now. I didn't want to go to real jail. I was like, juvenile hall is over. I'm not really trying to catch a charge that will stay on my record. And so I was trying to avoid doing certain things. And one day, I got a phone call from someone that I thought was my friend, and he asked me for help. He said that he threw a backpack behind a dumpster, and he needed me to get that backpack and give him a ride because he was being chased by the police. And this was just normal stuff, you know, like this phone call was normal for me because we're out in the streets and we're using drugs, you know, so I didn't think anything of it. Like, oh, my homie needs my help, but let me go get this backpack so he doesn't get caught by the cops. Like, let's go. So by the time I got to the dumpster, um, which for a little bit of context, it looking back on the story, I feel like the whole thing was a setup because the backpack was at a dumpster of a hotel that I was already in with my friend. So that was just a weird little coincidence. I don't know if it was a coincidence or not. But so by the time I got outside, the friend who called me, he was already outside at the dumpster, and he was like looking at me like, "Where's the backpack? You were the only one who knew the backpack was here." And I told him, I was like, I don't know where this backpack is. You know, I just got here. You got here before I did. So then I thought we were going to go look for the backpack together. You know, it was late at night. There are a lot of people just wandering the streets around there. And I thought, we were going to walk down the street and see someone with a backpack. And that's when he had a car pull up and told me to get in the car. We're going to drive down the street. We're going to see if we could see anyone with the backpack. And when I got into the car, that's when everything changed. Little did I know when I got in that the other side was on child safety lock. So I scooted across the seat and I sat there. My friend got in the car on the other side of me. And then the scene completely flipped. It was then all three people in the car turning to me, asking me, like, where's the backpack? What did you do with it? Why did you steal it? And that's when I began, like, getting abused in the back seat. They started tasing me when they were asking questions about where the backpack is. And the more I'm saying, like, I don't know, the more, or the longer that they were tasing me, because they weren't satisfied with those answers. Sorry, y'all. I'm okay. I just had the flu like 2 weeks ago, so talking a lot and breathing is hard still.
You're all good. You're all good. Don't worry. I feel like it's hard to continuously like tell your story too. I felt like I kept on like stopping as well. So, I mean, it's easy to like listen to it and you think, oh, you know, it's your story, but trying to like remember all the little details and then like, you know, like trying not to leave out things, especially when it's traumatizing, it can be hard. So don't worry about it. Take your time, girl. We're here. You're like, let me take a hit really quick.
It might be real quick. You guys know how it
Okay,
is.
so so let's jump back in. Sorry, I didn't mean to change the mood for you. Some people have a hard time switching back and forth between.
No, it's all good. So during that time, when we're in the car, we're driving around to different places, and they're just kind of abusing me. And it was like what we call tweaker time, you know, because I was in the backseat of this car for a period of over like 24 hours. But and it was really, we were really doing nothing besides like driving around to different places. But in the moment when you're on drugs, it doesn't feel like it's that long of time. I don't know if that makes sense to some people, but we were driving around for a day, went to different places. There was one point where we went to a park and they actually were trying to like put me into human trafficking. Like they were trying to sell me to someone. And so that was like a really scary moment in this story, you know. And the guy I actually ended up being hopeful, because the guy was saying that if he were to get me, he was going to let me go. But looking back on it, it's like, was he just saying that to try to like coax my feelings and get me to like cooperate with things? So in that moment I wished to go with him, because I was like, how else can I get away, you know? But looking back, it's scary because I don't know what would have happened if I would have. And throughout that time, they actually shot a man. When they were, okay, so let me back up. They were holding me for ransom. They were calling my family, asking for money. In that time, my mom didn't have the money to like just give them right then, and she's calling the police. She was in Illinois and I was in California. So I was out there by myself. You know, I was living with my ex at the time. That was prior to the relapse. And guys, I lost my train of thought. What did I just say?
You were gonna start talking about the guy in the car that they hurt.
Okay. So during that time, they were holding me for ransom, and they were calling my family. And so I thought I had an idea to come up with the ransom money myself. I was staying with my friend at the time, and her husband owned a tow truck company, and they had a bunch of like ATVs and bikes and stuff in their backyard. And I was like, she will gladly trade something like this for my life, you know, so that's a way I can go get the money. We pulled up by her house, and it's like a dead end street. So we were facing, facing the oncoming street. with our backs turned to the dead end, and that's when a car drove past. And the man, I don't know why he stopped in the middle of the road right there. There was really like no reason to stop there. It did look really sketchy. But they thought that he was an undercover cop and that he was on to what they were doing. So they pulled up behind this man and drove up next to him, and they shot him in the head at a red light. And for me, being in the backseat of that car, in that moment, to be honest with you, I'm really glad that I got injured, because when I was in the backseat of the car, I don't know if that would have changed things for me because of the lifestyle that I was living and because of, the just the drug and street lifestyle. Like, I don't know if that would have changed my life witnessing that, but it was a really traumatic thing, and that is something that I can still see in my head. I could see everything that happened so clearly in that moment. I can remember his head hitting the steering wheel and his car driving forward into a parking unit. Like driving through, it drove through a red light, and he ended up in I said a parking unit, a storage unit he crashed into. And later on I found out he was just a businessman that probably dropped something in his car and had to reach down and pick it up. And that is, it's so sad that for one, I don't know if that would have changed me. That is really sad in its own, and that's the type of thing that drugs and street life do to you. They can numb you completely and make you not care, about other people or yourself or anything besides like your next fix or your homies or being in the street. And that's something that's, it's crazy. Um, but after that, we actually ran. They were running from the cops, and I was in the backseat of the car. There was one point they told me that they were going to let me go, so I called my mom and I told her, and I was like, "Hey, they're going to let me go," but really that was just a trick to try to get the cops from, will get my family from calling the cops, because of course they know that somebody's reporting this. And with the added fear, after they had just killed this man and are running from the cops, they just wanted to say anything to try to calm the situation a little bit.
So knowing these people, were they on the same type of drugs that you were on, or were they like on something different, or were they just the type of people that they were, or what do you think like escalated the situation to the point where they were able to turn on you this way?
So I don't know if they were on any other drugs besides meth. I know that they were on meth for a fact, but what I think happened in within the situation is that they were in trouble with someone. Like they had their drugs that they had gotten to sell or whatever they were supposed to do with it, and they ended up smoking it or losing it or whatever happened, and now they're in trouble and they need some money, and I feel like they just saw me as an easy target to try to get that money. And
Yeah, I feel you. Things can just escalate. Sometimes people ask me dumb questions like all the time. And it's just like, at the end of the day, like crazy stuff happens all the time when you're in that lifestyle. It doesn't make it right, but you're not thinking about it when you're in the moment, and it doesn't mean that anybody deserved it neither, and it doesn't mean that it was preventable in any cause, because it's really hard to look at it. I know people that gotten injured in all types of different situations that all of us have all been in separately, but and that's the way we have to look at it. So I know probably a lot of people are thinking like, why wouldn't you do this? What were you thinking when you did this? When you're going through it, you're not really thinking about all that stuff. It's kind of hard to think, and you're not really feeling like the worst thing possible is going to happen to you. I mean, that's a kind of a scary way to live, right? Always thinking that something's going to happen and looking behind your back. So I mean, like a lot of us are young and carefree, like, so yeah, let me just throw that in there. I know with gun violence, even with any trauma, it gets difficult.
Yeah, and I mean that's so true, because when you're in that lifestyle, you're not thinking about any of that stuff. Like you don't care.
Mhm. For sure. So after that happens to you, and also, before we get off that topic, let me ask you, like, how was that then being sober in your injury and knowing like that you're the one who survived that incident, even if you are in a chair rather than that random businessman that did pass away? Like, did you have to go to therapy for victim's guilt or anything like that?
I haven't had to go to therapy for victim's guilt. And I mean, thankfully, I'm not super hung up on that part. And I don't know if that's just because of the way that I was kind of hardened to it and numb to it. Like, I think there may still be like some healing that I need to do there. Because when I see like the image in my head, that's when I feel the worst about it. I don't
Mhm.
feel survivor's guilt because I feel like I'm living in my purpose. For some reason, God decided that was how that situation was going to play out. And there's a lot of pain in that situation, but I get to be alive to go to court, and testify that this happened, because no one knew what happened to this man. Like everyone was like, he just got shot in the head and his car was in the storage unit, and we have no idea what happened. And then when I woke up in the hospital and I finally got off of, what's it called? The intubation, then I was able to tell them like what happened and that I saw this. And, through that, his murder was able to be solved. And I'm still, testifying for it. I haven't had court yet for that, but
Yeah, that's great. That's great. I mean, like that you already have reached to that point. I think everybody needs to get there, and it's easy to like harbor on those things. I know in the beginning of my injury, I would be like, why me? Why me? People are getting shot and dying every day. Like, what the hell's so special about my life being spared? But now I see it differently, and I feel like it's my job to live my purpose, and like find my reason to keep on living and like not let my life still go to waste. And because that's the facts. Like, people did lose their life. So I got to keep fighting and I got to make a difference today. So I really admire you for that. I think that's super dope.
yeah. And it's crazy how like everyone, when they wake up in the hospital, has like such a different mindset. It depends on the person and like what they've gone through, because when I woke up, getting shot in the ear and the neck, and I realized like I still have a voice, and the prayer that I prayed when I was laying on the stairs, and then I woke up and I was like, wow, I'm so blessed
Wait,
to
wait,
be
wait.
alive.
I don't think you got to that part yet. I
No,
think
I
that
know,
we're supposed to. Oh,
I'm gonna get
I was
it.
like, I think you were skipping over a little bit, girl. But yeah.
No, I'm gonna
Okay,
get
yeah.
in there later. I was
Okay,
just
okay,
saying
okay.
that.
I do it all the time. No worries. I just wanted to let you know. Yeah, I
Mhm.
feel you that you're feeling blessed. That was your
Yeah,
first thought. Like, that's amazing. That was your first thoughts, because so many people go so many years not even having that,
yeah,
a perspective on this injury. So I think that's super amazing that you didn't use it as a reason to still be high or still get back on the streets. Like, some people do it.
yeah.
That's the only thing that they've ever known. It's easy to do. So yeah. Okay. So where were we at? I'm not really sure where you left off at.
Um. Okay, so I'll just go back to after the man was killed, and we were running from the police. I thought that they were gonna let me go. They didn't end up doing that. They took me to some parking lot and they ended up having me talk to a guy on FaceTime who was asking me what happened to the drugs. And this is why I think that they were in trouble with someone else, because they had this fourth party on the phone. And he actually he told me to take it off speaker and he asked me, "Do you think this man is setting you up?" And I said yes, and he ended up telling them not to hurt me anymore. But they didn't listen to that. And right after that conversation is when they had this gun and they were starting to play Russian roulette with me. And that was a very scary moment for me, because they're spinning the chamber of this gun, you know, and pointing it at me, and like they're going to shoot me, and I am like terrified in the back seat. You know, I don't know if a bullet's really in there. I don't know how many are in there. You know, I don't know if I'm about to die. We're in this dark parking lot next to Mexico, you know, and I am terrified. That was one of the like most traumatic moments. There are a few like really traumatic moments in this story for me that still bother me to these days, and that was one of them. And
Where was your mindset at this point, Maya? Like, were you like hoping to die? Were you like wishing that to could get away? Were you pleading with them? Like, what were you saying? Like, where were you crying? Like, what was your
I,
state of mind?
I was crying and I was pleading with them. I was hopeful to live. You know, it wasn't until this moment when I was like, are they actually going to kill me? You know, like I didn't really feel like I was going to die until this moment, you know. And then after that, I had a sense of relief again because they said that we were going to go to Walmart, and they were like, we know that you steal stuff, so we're going to make you steal us some stuff. And I was like, okay, let me go to Walmart so I can get away. You know, like if I go into Walmart to steal, that would be the best opportunity for me to be able to get away from these people. And then so as we're driving to Walmart, I realized that we're going the complete opposite way. It's like 1 o'clock in the morning. I know that there's only one Walmart in the area that we were in that's open at that time, and we're heading towards the beach, and that's not right. So in that moment was the second traumatic moment when I felt like I was going to die. I was like, what is happening? The vibe in the car completely switched up. They were being super cagey about stuff. And I'm like, wait, we're not going to Walmart. Where are we going? And they wouldn't answer me. And that's when I knew. I was like, okay, well, this is it. This is what's going to happen now. You know, I'm going to die. And so we got up to the beach area in Sunset Cliffs in San Diego. I don't know if anyone's familiar with it, but it's a super prestigious beach in San Diego. It's a very rich area, super nice. So I was super confused. I was like, what is happening right now? And so we got up there to the cliffs, and the cliffs are roped off once you get to the top. It's Ladera Street Cliffs. And because they're roped off because they're flying, the rocks and the cliffs are falling into the ocean. But there's this big long staircase there. And they made me get out of the car with a gun to my side, and they walked me to the stairs, made me go under the rope, and walked me down. As we were walking down, I'm trying to look around and see if there's anywhere I can jump or I can run. And next to the stairs, it's just rocks, you know. So if I jump over there, I probably would have been worse off than I am now, you know, if I would have been alive. So I figured that there was nowhere for me to run. And at that moment, I go down the stairs and I'm standing in the water because it was high tide. So the bottom of the stairs was like covered in water. And once I got down there, the guy who I knew in the car, because the three people that were in the car, I didn't know two of them. I had seen them 2 days earlier, but I didn't know them. And the guy who was supposedly my friend was the one who shot me. After I walked down the stairs, he made me turn around facing him. And I'm crying, I'm pleading with them. I'm asking them, you know, please don't kill me. I won't say anything about the guy that you shot. You know, I'm I'm terrified in that moment. And it's super loud because the ocean water is right there, you know, so you could barely hear anything when the ocean is right there. And he told me to stop crying like a little bitch and just take it. And that's when he shot me the first time. And the first one hit my ear. and it happened so fast, and it was just really hot. I just remember it being really hot and hearing like this noise, like a phew noise, um, and just getting like a little dizzy. Not dizzy like I'm gonna fall down, if that makes sense. Just kind of like disoriented a little bit. And that's when he shot me the second time. The second one hit my neck here. That's the one who that broke my spinal cord, and it came out on my shoulder on this side. So it like went in and bounced around my spine and came out of my shoulder on this side. It was lodged in. That was the one bullet that was stuck. And of course, I fell down. I was able to wrap my arm inside of the stairs so I wouldn't like float out or anything. And of course, in that moment, I wasn't thinking about because I'm going to float out. You know, my arm was just kind of wrapped there. But I think uh, God had me do that for a specific reason. But so I fell after that one. And I remember not being able to move, but I didn't understand it. And I thought it was over at that point. But as he was walking away, he started walking up the stairs, and he turned around and he shot me a third time, like to make sure that I was dead. And that to me was the most traumatic part that affects me today. You know, seeing him turn around and shoot me a third time to try to ensure that I was not going to live anymore. You know, like to realize that he really wanted to kill me. And he was my friend for a few years, you know, like the whole time that I was using. And so after that, when he shot me the third time, that one hit me in my left hip, and it went straight through. It was a clean shooting. It went through my hip, so I have a nice little bullet hole on my butt cheek. um, and I was laying there, and I just remember like trying to scream and not being able to yell. Like, I know that nobody could hear me because of the water, so I'm thinking about that. But like, I didn't realize my diaphragm is paralyzed, you know, and I just could not yell. And I remember being so upset because I'm like, why can't I say anything? Like, I'm alive. I'm right here. Why can't I yell? So then that's when I was like, okay, I'm gonna die. You know, it's like 2 o'clock in the morning and I'm in the Pacific Ocean off of some cliffs. You know, nobody's gonna find me. And that's when I started praying. And I just prayed to God that my family would be okay with my death because, you know, we're all very close. And my mom is very, very emotional. And so I just was hoping that she would be okay and be able to heal. And probably about 10 minutes later, that's when I passed out. And I woke up after that in the hospital.
Wow, girl. I mean, like that is intense for your friend. So now, did you go to trial? So they did get arrested, right?
They did get arrested. They've been arrested for about 4 years. They actually got arrested prior to me waking up in the hospital. They were on like a crime binge where they actually went and like stabbed someone else, you know, and like did a bunch of crazy stuff. And they were arrested, but they just didn't know that they were the people that kidnapped me. So when I woke up and I told them what happened and who it was, they were like, "Oh, well, they're already in jail."
Wow, what
Damn.
a blessing. I mean, like that's super, super cool that, that they were caught and that they were able to get, prosecuted for this crime. Unfortunately, I feel like it's kind of hard when you're injured in this way because like what is the justice in this? Like, like it's kind of hard. Like, they were telling me like what time are you comfortable with them getting? Like what is your justice for this? And it's like, well, like it's just like I don't know if you feel the same way, but it's hard to dictate. Like I have family that's inside of jail, and it's like, am I going to say, oh, I wish that they would die in jail? Like I can't say that, It's like at the end of the day, I wish that they would learn their lesson, I wish that they'll become better people. Like, is he apologetic? Has he tried to reach out? Like, did you have to ever see him again? Like, what's the story with that?
So I'm still going through court
Mm.
because of COVID and everything. Court has been taking forever. I've went to one court date with them, and he wasn't apologetic then. I was in a power chair. This was so traumatic for me. I was in a power chair at the time, and getting into the witness box. The witness box is really small, so this big old power chair trying to get in there was really hard, and they filled the courtroom with the defendants and with people before they had me come into the witness box. So I'm here trying to back up, get in, go forward, back up, scoot in, and the deputies, the courtroom bailiffs and stuff, they're trying to help me get into this box by like trying to lift my chair and like scoot it and stuff. And the guy who shot me, he actually turned and he's laughing at me, and that to me was like, it was crazy. Where I'm at now in my mindset, I would laugh back at him. I'd be like, haha, like you're the one that's over there, that's going to be in jail for life. And I'm living my life, but in that moment, I was a lot more fragile in my mindset. I was happy to be alive. I felt blessed, but I was still traumatized by what happened. I was still
Mhm.
confused. Like, you were supposed to be my friend, you know?
Mhm. Yeah, that's extremely hard. I mean, trial was one of the most hardest things that I went through, and I can't imagine it being a friend and then being so careless with your feelings and what you're going through. I mean, like, who knows where, I don't know where he was at in his addiction, but for him to already be in jail and to see you at that point struggling, like, yeah, that there is a reason why he is over there on that side, and like seeing that now, but like that's enough to break somebody down. That's enough to like even make suicidal thoughts, like, do I deserve this? Like, did those thoughts ever cross your mind? Like, were you ever hard on yourself, or did you just automatically go to like the blessing of it all?
Thankfully, I went to the blessing of it all, and sometimes I wonder, like, was I blocking things out? Did I really heal from it? But I'm really grateful that I did jump into, the blessing side of it, because it could have been like my recovery could have been a lot worse if I didn't. So yeah.
Yeah, that's great. That's super cool. Okay, let's see any comments. If you guys have any comments for Maya, you guys are jumping in, make sure to leave them so we can get to them. um
I have a question. I'm sparking up for you.
Oh, I cannot find a lighter, and my freaking boyfriend or my brother are not answering me this whole time. How rude, you guys. Our show's almost over. The whole time I'm texting them over and over. Hello, where's the hell's the lighter? Still not responding back to me. So rude. Okay,
I'm
let
Do
me
we
go
see
to Google.
TJ in the cut?
take a little shot.
Thank you for
We
the
see
birthday
the
wishes, everyone.
fam.
Thank you for
And yes, happy birthday,
joining.
Brianna. But Maya, I did have a
Thank you. Thank you.
question.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Answer.
Hold
With
on,
Yeah.
I'm gonna
What's
go grab my.
Since you had an addiction, how did you decide to like medicate with weed?
Okay,
That's a good question.
that is.
So
So we're smoking.
prior to Babe, get out of here. This is a women's disability show.
Oh, my bad. My bad.
She said, I've been seeing TJ in the cut. Shout out
Just
TJ.
kidding.
Wait, I don't have to go for real.
No, you don't have to go.
No, stop playing on my emotions.
It's Maya's story.
So prior to my injury, at the end, I started smoking weed while I was still in Narcotics Anonymous. So I've always been such a stoner, So when I got out of the hospital, okay, so look, let me be real, y'all. Okay, when I got out of the hospital, I was like, I don't really have to worry about being able to use meth because I can't twist a pipe with my fingers. Like I legit can't twist a pipe, so I'll be fine
She said,
smoking this
that
weed.
addiction.
I'm dead. That's the way to look at it. Be like, you know what? God said, "Girl, sit the fuck down. You got a bigger purpose." You know, like.
For real.
But that's an interesting way to a perspective to look at it. Like, that's
Yeah,
super
so I
dope.
was like, I'll be okay smoking weed, and it has medical benefits. And I talked with my doctor about it and let them, let them know because my doctors are aware of like my previous addiction and stuff. So yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, I missed that little bit. I needed a lighter
Oh,
really quick.
okay.
Okay, so
Thank
thank
you.
you, Ben, for that $3 tip. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Renee
And
said, "Sup, Sean." I'm sure he's saying, "Hey," right back to you. Um,
Go
the
ahead.
He might
video
have an.
started at
Oh,
3 p.m. So the women's show starts at 3 p.m. and Sean's show starts at 3:30. Um,
Yes.
you are amazing. Write a book, make a movie, insane story. Yes, I know.
facts.
definitely be writing a book and making a movie, so watch out for it.
In the works.
Oh, baby.
Yes, girl. We are watching. We are
Okay.
supporting. Can't wait. Um, there's a
Yes.
special place in hell for people like that. Jesus Christ. Yeah. Yeah. That's crazy. Yeah. I mean, we believe
I
that people have their karma, I believe, you know.
Yeah,
How do you
well,
feel
and
about that?
I want to comment on that as well,
Yeah,
because
tell them.
there is okay, so they're trying to give them the death penalty. I don't know, can y'all see me?
Yeah, I got you. Hold up.
Uh-uh.
I run a coalition for prisoners' rights, and I believe that no matter the crime, people deserve rehabilitation. And even though that this happened to me, I'm advocating that they don't get the death penalty because I don't believe in that. And I feel like if they can be rehabilitated, and they're like resentful for their actions and they want to change their life, then by all means, like, God bless them, go for it. And yeah, so I just wanted to like clarify that I don't have, of course I'm hurt and I'm traumatized, and I went through a lot, and I will never be buddy buddy with them or friends with them, but I do wish them the best, and I hope that they do change their lives and that they figure stuff out for themselves.
Yeah, I totally feel you on that. A lot of people don't understand it. I get a lot of comments after the like hashtag story dropped. Everybody's just like death for everyone. And I'm just like, honestly, like that's not where my heart is. Like even
Mhm.
though I feel like he does deserve to have time, I feel like I want him to grow overall as a person. And like
Yeah.
I already got it. They're barely bringing me the lighter, guys. Seriously, thanks. Um,
All late.
Great,
I'm
appreciate
dead.
it. Like the show's already over. Thank you so much.
About to wrap
Anyway,
up.
yeah, I know, but I know my blood's barely lit. I've just been staring at it this whole time. Rude. Anyways, I feel the same way. It was hard for me to even feel like they deserve that amount of time because I'm just like I don't believe that in my heart. It's just like I believe like if you can become a better person, that's what I would want. And what sucked is like I told him like, can you guys give him rehab? Can you make him go to church? Can you do something? And they were like, no, like it has to be their choice. And I was like, that sucks, like what is justice in that situation? So you don't want them to get the death penalty, but what do you feel like they deserve?
So as of right now, with the systems that we have set up, which I'm a big advocate for abolishing prisons, and I just want like transformative justice in the communities where like you invest in communities, so people are less likely to commit crime, and restorative justice where victims and abusers can talk, victims and offenders can talk things out and figure out like what would make the victim feel what would make the victim feel good, like the other person is getting rehabilitated, whether that's like a bunch of hours of community service and counseling or things like that. um yeah, so as of right now, with those systems that we have, life in prison. But other than that, like I hope that there could be like a restorative justice practice, and they could do some type of rehabilitation work and really like truly change,
Mhm.
and then get out and be with their families.
And like that just goes to show like what a difference our heart is to theirs, you know? When this happens to us, here we are questioning like our worth, you know? But in the end, I mean, if you're religious, I look at it like God knew my worth. Like even when I didn't, he did, and I think that's something really powerful to look back on, you know? Like you hear it all the time, like those people that hurt other people oftentimes not remorseful, you know, like oftentimes, you know, like have an evil heart, you know, do not give a fuck. Like look at us in the wheelchair, like are fighting against it, you know, like and it's just
Mhm.
like it's sad to see. You know, we don't want nobody doing that. We don't want nobody to be on that side of the scale, you know, but it's like we have to be thankful for the life that we are given and we have to fight because of that, you know, and like that's their path. And I had to realize like I can only do so much. I had to fight for it, you know. They were trying to give him less time, so I was just like trying to tell my story, you know, and trying to say like that he was here, he deserves something for not caring in the amount of times that he's been arrested, not giving a fuck, not supposed to have a gun, right? There's of course different layers of each one of our stories, but I was like, here he is not caring. Like if you cared just a little bit, or if you were just a little bit of a better person, like I would be fighting for you, you know, like I would be like caring more. Like, but what can I do when it's just like you're showing me the type of heart that you have, you know? And I feel like you get put in that situation. And I feel like it's very interesting with you having to fight for those rights. Like fight for the rights of the people you know who hurt and
Yeah.
who hurt you, you know, and gave you this trauma and be like they still deserve to live, you know?
Yeah, and I think it's important to remember that like hurt people. Like these
Yes.
people have been through trauma in their lives that they haven't dealt with, and they've experienced probably like so many things that I don't know about, because just in the time that I knew this guy that was my friend, the one who shot me, I've seen things that he went through that were trauma, so I can only
Mhm.
imagine like in his upbringing, because people don't just do drugs for no reason. You know what I mean? Like you're trying to fill a hole of something, you're trying to heal from something, and you're finding it in the wrong place. And so I think that's an important role when it comes to what I do, like fighting for prisoners' rights, because I understand that trauma can lead to so many different things in your life, like so many terrible things. You can act out in so many ways. Because I know that, like, my trauma of what I went through being shot and everything, I act out in certain ways because of that trauma alone. So
Yeah. Yeah,
going back.
it's like it's hard to think about when you're in that lifestyle as well, you know, when you're fighting for this whole thing because it's like I have family members who were in their addiction for a long time and fucked up and hurt a lot of people, you know, and now they're clean, they're sober, they're living their life, you know, they're like for God, all this stuff, and it's like all it could have took is one time them messing up, you know, like one wrong decision and like things could have gone differently, a different path for them, you know, and like they would have never got the chance to be a better person, you know. So like I know it's possible, so it's like it's hard for me to be like, oh, it's not possible for them to get any help, you know. But it's like I have to also realize that it's also not possible for every single person to reach that level. They have reached a level of trauma, you know, maybe they did use the drugs at a very, very young age and it, you know, like they went through whatever that they went through and they can't get over it. You know, there is things as serial killers and, you know, bad people in this world, you know, it's not saying that every single person can come back from that, but it's just like, it's very interesting to fight for it and like feel like I just want you to be better. I just want you to be a better person and make good in your life, you know, and like have a reason for all this.
Yeah. And it's also realizing, like, I think a big part was I realized that the system that we have right now fails people. Like, there's no reason people should be getting arrested 25, 30 times by the time they're like 20 years old. You know what I mean? Like, or 30 years old. because one of the core founding principles of like jails is rehabilitation, and obviously that's not rehabilitating anyone if they're, you know, going into recidivism and being repeat offenders. You know, it's I could talk about this topic forever.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I feel like there's a whole trauma in that as well. There's a whole trauma in being the repeat offender, you know, and going to
Yeah.
jail multiple times. And no, there's so many things. Sometimes it's all you know. It's easy to be like, oh, this person should have been different. But sometimes it's not the path you were dealt. It's not the cards you were dealt, you know? And it's like, it's easy to say it from from a different perspective, but I feel like it's like almost um, like a form of like privilege to be like, you know, that that's not possible to act that way, you know, or live that lifestyle or have to do things in order to survive, you know. It's like I feel like some people just that, yeah, that is privilege. I mean, that's the only way that I can kind of put it, you know, and that's the way I have to like kind of look at it when I'm telling my story and when I'm thinking back even to my family, you know, and the cards that we are dealt. It's like, no, of course they didn't want to do those things. Of course I didn't want to do those things, but it's life, you know, and now I'm glad that I'm here and I'm glad I'm going to keep on going. I feel like sometimes so many people like to focus on your past. Do you feel like that ever happens a lot? Like focus more on my future. Like, I mean, talk more about like how, you know, your recovery's been, you getting into the rollouts, you getting into the community, you becoming just an amazing advocate.
Yeah, and you know what? That was one of the things that like I was kind of anxious about when it comes to social media. Like it took me a long time to be able to tell my whole story. You know, like the
Mm-hmm.
fact that I was in drug addiction when everything happened, and that it was on a relapse, you know, and that I used to steal cars and do drugs and like do all this stuff. Like I was so afraid, and you know, like the first couple times I did tell my whole story, I had people picking out, you know, different little parts and saying stuff, you know, and it like it was discouraging, you know, but I got it was actually when I did my hashtagger stories, there was like people picking out stuff about like my addiction didn't match with my advocacy. I should be advocating for drug addiction instead of advocating for what I'm advocating for, you know. And I was so sad, you know. It was like 700
Mm-hmm.
comments and people were just talking shit.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to call Chelsea. I was like, how do you deal with these like negative comments, because I'm like so fucked up right now. And like I got some advice through that, and I just kind of had to like push it under the rug and say that I know my worth. But it for a while I was nervous to say anything, and then I had this one guy, Marco Parks. Shout out to Marco Parks. He made a song about my story.
Yeah.
It's amazing. It's Marco Parks Myelin on YouTube. If you want to go check it out, stream
Yeah.
it.
Yeah,
Oh, how
please.
sweet.
Yo, go
Oh,
check
I've
that out.
not heard it. Have
Yeah,
you posted about it?
I have posted about it. I
Send
haven't
us the
posted about
link.
it recently though. I need to throw it up there. I'll send you guys a
Right.
link in our
Straight up. You
Okay.
should do
chat.
that.
Yeah, for sure.
He wrote a song about it, and he was just so moved by my story to like, even the fact that he was so moved to just write a song about my story, you know, that made me feel like telling my story was worth it, my whole story,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And I also listened to a public speaker before, Derek Grant, and he told his whole story about how like he was involved, you know. He got shot like I think it was 17 times or 11 times. And one of his things is just how important it is to tell your whole story, because there's somebody out there that's going to get something out of it, you know, and that one person is worth all of the anxiety and all of the negative comments, because it can really change somebody's life.
Mhm. Yeah, 1,000%. And it's easy in this day and age with social media to focus on those negative comments, you know, to be like, am I worth it? Like they makes you doubt yourself and it makes you like have a lot of questions, you know, of like, who are these people typing these things to us? Like I had to realize, you know, they have their own issues to even be going on social media and writing these things because me personally, I don't go commenting that type of shit to people, you know, like I have a negative opinion. I keep it to my damn self. I don't watch their video and analyze their whole damn story and tell them what they should have done and could have done and what they should be doing. Like, what the fuck, you know, like, no, like, don't be that person. If you're that person, please don't. If you feel offended right now, just stop doing that. I'm just kidding. And I think that it's so hard, but I think that it's so empowering to realize, like, yeah, those couple people do matter. This injury happens again and again and again. And there is going to be another person, unfortunately, in this situation. And let me fight a little harder today and share my full story and be in my truth so that I can help this person just feel like living. Like, if that's my worth, if that's my purpose, like, that's pretty dope. Like, some people go their whole lives without making that impact on people. Like.
Yeah, it was
Yeah,
really
exactly.
powerful for me.
Yeah.
That's
So
your
also, like, with
story is
the
so powerful.
yeah.
It really is. It's like not a full circle, a half a circle because you didn't go back there, but
Yeah.
it's amazing.
A
And I don't even
180.
think you took a long time to tell your story. Like, what, you're only 4 years, 5 years out?
4 years, yeah. Just turned 4 years on the 12th.
Like, to me, you're amazing.
Thank
Love
You
you.
you.
are amazing. Woo! We need some applause, Sean. Come on. Woo!
Um,
We need to get some of those
Yeah,
buttons. Yeah, I
girl.
love it. Yay!
Let's
God.
go, baby.
I love it. I'm glad that you're on, this family and that you're able to share your story. And I think that it's super cool, and it's empowering. I remember talking to you when you were first injured and we were just like, how are we going to do this? Because we're so scared about what people are going to think about us, and we're scared of those negative comments. We're scared to explain ourselves. We're scared to be told it's our fault, even if we might believe that it's not. Being told that is a different story, like, we don't want to have those encounterments. Like, if we could, we just rather avoid it, like, and I think that taking power and ownership back in that is so amazing for us. It's like healing in another way. It's growth on a different level. Like, for you to be, a statistic and destined for failure, and you to switch around and turn this trauma into something so amazing, a triumph. You turn your pain into power. You keep fucking going. And like, it, I think that's what's so resilient about our community and what's so dope about our community. And like, even what my family, I mean, my brother's only 16 years old, and him seeing, like, it's pretty cool that all of these people are so beautiful, handsome, dope, funny people, like, that we're put in this position to, do whatever the hell we want to fucking do. I mean, cause attention, grab attention from the world, look at us and, listen to what the hell we're saying. Let's say something important. Let's do something important. I think it's like super, super cool, when you're a part of it. And, that it's a ripple effect on you and your family and your friends and who you're with, and like, there's something to take ownership of that too. I could go on and on about this too, because I just feel like there's so much, like, growth and beautiful magic that comes from it. It's mainly the healing process. I feel like the community, just kind of like the AA program, as well, it creates like a healing, and it's something super dope about becoming better, becoming stronger, and especially when you're not knowing if you're going to live, and you're having those thoughts and you have that PTSD, so I think that's so cool. So how did you get involved with what you got involved with what you're involved with, with prisons and stuff? Like, what really sparked that interest in you?
Oh, okay. So, this isn't. I don't know why I'm smiling because I'm high and a little bit. This is not. This is not a funny topic.
I
And
know,
also,
I do it all the time. I'm like, I have to stop saying traumatic things and laughing afterwards because people probably think I'm a freaking psychopath. I'm like,
I'm dead.
craziness life.
for real. Like,
That's so funny. Okay,
okay.
you're good.
So,
Deep breath.
and disclaimer: this includes death. So if that's sensitive to you, I don't know. We talked about some intense stuff earlier, so if you're still here, I think you're all right. But there were two men actually who died in a jail, a county jail, 40 minutes from where I live, 24 hours apart from each other due to medical negligence. And we went there. We started protesting about it. There was a man like from locally from where I live that was actually incarcerated there, and he was one of the ones who died. So we were protesting there. We started organizing around it, and we realized what a problem this is in the jails all across America. But in the state of Illinois, there are a lot of organizations that serve prisons, and there are none that serve county jails to help the people that are incarcerated there, which is crazy because it's pre-trial. So these are all people that haven't been convicted of a crime yet. So they're technically innocent, and they're the ones that have no support from the outside if their rights are being neglected or anything. So me and my best friend were like, all right, let's keep organizing around this and let's get other people to help us. And we started a coalition, and it's been over a year now. Oh, it's been, no, like almost 2 years. It will be 2 years in like August. And we have volunteers. And it was actually kind of crazy because we're starting a new campaign to shut down the jail in Iroquois County and start transformative and restorative justice there, to invest in the communities and, help people out. And our volunteers led this entire kickoff meeting. Me and my best friend who started it didn't even speak during it. We were both sick. And it was so cool just to see like our coalition taking off. Oh my goodness.
Oh, that's so beautiful, so amazing. So on a totally different topic, I mean, did you guys meet that way? How did you guys meet? I mean, was that something that you were already interested in, T, or did you like learn all this stuff from Maya? Like, or I mean, you're right here, so I'm so curious.
Oh, okay. No, I was not interested in this stuff at all before I went mad.
Wow.
I mean, like, I knew, people's rights were being violated in prisons and jails and stuff like that. Like, shoot, people's rights are being violated in the country, like in the so-called free world that we're in right now. So I see it all the time, and like it's just good to see that she's giving God glory and trying to make a difference in the world. So like yeah, so but we met at church.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I mean, I still think that that's still a beautiful way, and that you're learning so much from her. I think it's super
Exactly.
interesting. Yeah, that's dope to see you so invested in what she's invested in. I feel like that's the journey that it takes us. I mean, I think that it's super amazing. How long have you guys been together now?
A year and 3 months.
Wow, it feels like so long. I don't know why it feels like you guys have been together forever.
Yeah,
You
it
guys
does.
just are like so perfect. Yeah, you guys vibe so well together. I
Well,
love
thank
it.
you.
Of course, of course. I think it's so cool. Sorry, I had to throw you in there since you're right there. I'm sure the audience is going to be dying to know. They always have a million. They always want to ask me so many relationship questions, and I'm just like, but I know, So that was for you, audience. I know you guys are all wanting to ask. I think our wrap up question, our wrap up question is going to be, okay. So if you had to start your journey over again, like what 3 to 5 things like would you focus on first? Like what would you do? I know you started, going to all that stuff really early, but I mean, what would you probably do differently if you could?
For one thing, I would go to a different like therapy center. And then, so I didn't really have control over this, but I was in the hospital for a long time, and it was longer than I needed to be in the hospital, and that was because I was such a security risk in San Diego. And no therapy place would take me. Uh,
Wow.
so, yeah, it was crazy because of like the nature of the crime and everything. I was stuck in the hospital for like an extra month, and I didn't get like good therapy in the beginning. I mean, I got good therapy. If you're watching this and you're my physical therapist or occupational therapist from the hospital, I don't mean that. I just needed it more intense. Okay. You were great.
Yeah, I know. I always feel like I'm bagging on my hospital and rehab too, because I'm just like, yeah, they sucked. I was the only person there. I didn't learn nothing. And I'm just like, well, they did their best, Sorry, guys. If you're listening, you guys did your best. My bad, But like, I just wish I would have got more.
Yeah.
So funny. Yeah, that's a good one. Therapy in the beginning is hard because you're just kind of thrown something. So you don't really know what to fight for at that point. And other therapy places that like are really focused on walking, they're expensive as hell. So like to even search for a affordable therapy place, it takes a little bit of time. But I really think that that's important as well in the beginning. Because you lose that muscle function. I mean, even if maybe I would have not started to walk again, but I could have been stronger.
Yeah.
And that's why I look at it. But okay, that's a great one. Uh-huh. Well, what else do you have for us?
Okay. And then also, I would have focused on healing a little bit more, like physically, spiritually, and emotionally, instead of just like jumping right back into school, jumping back into everything, because like I didn't actually like grieve my legs until like 2 years after my injury, and
Mm-hmm.
that was like emotional, and I just
Mm-hmm.
feel like I could have focused a little bit more on myself in the beginning instead of, just trying to get back to regular life, trying to focus on anything else but the fact that my life is completely different now, and
Mm-hmm.
dealing with how that affected me emotionally.
Yeah, 1,000%. I feel like sometimes people get so focused even in like the physical aspect of it that they neglect themselves. They neglect themselves mentally. Sorry, my boyfriend just opened the door and my dog wants to get down now. Okay, and I think that that's so hard. I tell people, take a break, be sad for a little while, think about what you lost. And I think sometimes it's hard because you don't really know. I mean, unless you're like that type of person, you don't really know how to grieve yourself, especially when everybody around you is not grieving you.
Mhm.
You don't really know how to like take a step back and be like, hold on, you guys, like I need to throw a memorial for myself. Like, no, you're just like kind of trying to get back to it because everybody's like, you're gonna be okay. Like we're so glad you're alive. Like what's next? What are you doing? How's therapy? Everybody wants to know what's coming next from you. And it can be overwhelming for a lot of people. So if you're going through that, I think that's a great advice. Take a step back, and look at some of our posts. I mean, go back and look at the beginnings and like what we had to go through. I mean, I think a great advice that I tell people to do is write a goodbye letter to yourself, to your
Ooh,
old self, because regardless, that version of you, as much as you love that version of yourself, as much as you're appreciative of that version of yourself, you're no longer that version. So you need to say you're appreciative, your thank yous, just like you would at a memorial service. And then, have to do it that way and be like, let me focus on the new version of me. I think that's very important. And like, and also talking to the old version of yourself, like, I know you're sad right now. I know you're hurt, but keep going, keep fighting. It
yes.
gets better.
Write a letter to your newly injured self. Ooh,
Mhm.
yes. That
Yes.
brought me so much healing when I did that.
Yeah. That was a big one for me. That one and the goodbye letter to myself, that one was like really important to me. I feel like there's another one, another important one, but all those healing things, I mean, I feel like therapy is really important. It's not
Yes.
easy to talk about, but they give you some tools. Work through those tools. Read some self-help books. I mean, like, think about, I'm going through a trauma, what can I do, to help my mindset change right now? Like, there's damage going on, I need to heal myself. If you had a cut, you wouldn't just like leave it there and like keep on pouring like dirt on it and like all this stuff. No, you take care of
Yeah.
it so that it heals, so that you get better. So you have to think about your mind the same way. So yeah, let me throw that out there. Okay, what's your last thing, Maya? Where are we at? I'm halfway through my blood. Sorry.
Okay, third thing.
It's okay, you don't need a third.
I'm
There you go. It's 420 and we're just gonna celebrate. It's 420 over here. I know it's a little later hour where you guys are at, but we appreciate you. Thank you for coming on. Thank you for being vulnerable with us. We love you so much. We know it's not easy, but we know this is gonna help heal. Even if it's one person, I mean, that's fucking amazing. So if you're out there and you got something out of this live, please comment down what you got from it. Please comment what you love about Maya's story or what you love about her in general or her advocacy. We appreciate all that so much. So thank you. I don't want to cut you off. I want to make sure you say any last words. Do you have any last words for us before I get wrap up?
No, I'm good. Thank you for listening to my story. I hope somebody got something out of it. Yeah, and let me know if you have any questions.
Yes, thank you.
And
Thank you so much.
If you want to volunteer for my coalition, DM me.
We love volunteers, guys. Ashley and Nikki, any last words from you guys? Any last advice?
No. I feel like we touched on everything.
Yeah.
Maya's story is
Great.
amazing.
Mhm.
Yes.
Thank you guys. We love you guys joining in. Jessica unfortunately had an issue. She messaged me and said that she couldn't join, but she sends her love so much. And yeah, thank you guys for joining me on my birthday. I really appreciate it. I know you're not here for my birthday, but let me just pretend that we are. And thank you so much. Thank you. And make sure that you check out our amazing sponsors, urology professionals and mobility professionals. They really, really are super caring and they help with all our needs. I mean, I just helped one of my friends who have been with another company for so long and having issues, and she switched over and absolutely loved this customer service that she was getting, and she was so appreciative of me giving her that recommendation. So I mean, please just give them a call and see what they could offer you. Their customer service and they know exactly what we need. I think that that's so amazing too, because a lot of these companies unfortunately don't. So go and check them out. They're super dope. Make sure to join us back with another Live to Roll show on every single Tuesday. Sean is back with amazing topics. I am back every first and third Thursday. So come and join us for that. We really appreciate it. Also, make sure that you go and check out our merch on livetorole.org. We have some amazing merch that we have for women and guys. So go and support us that way. We really do appreciate it. If you are watching this, if you did like it, please leave a like for us. It really helps with YouTube algorithm and also Instagram algorithm. If you like our comment, our stuff, I promise you it's not a popularity thing. Like it shows YouTube that people are liking this thing and actually watching it, and so it recommends it to other people that are also liking the same thing. So that's why we are so pressured of that, and we really do appreciate all of the support. Am I forgetting anything? I don't think so. I hope not, but I'm smoking today, so forgive me if I am. Thank you guys again for joining me, and have a great day. Bye. Live to roll.